We're going to be talking about all things Destiny. But first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you all for listening to the podcast, however it is that you're choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1Net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. You can also take a look at the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you do a search on Bungie.net for Guardian 1, you'll find our forums group, of which we'll also use for both comments and feedback. Once again, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network every Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the show live, you can search Guardian 1 for the iTunes podcast, as well as go into the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out their website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts that's part of the network, including Aim Assist Gaming, TTL Party Chat, Robust Radio, Ghost and Echoes, as well as the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. Guardian Radio broadcasts every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. That's all I have for now. Moving on.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Hollow River. Okay, so lots of stuff to talk about. Bungie has done 3 reveals over the last 3 weeks on Twitch, which I think is really awesome. I'm glad that they are stepping into kind of getting with the community, being part of this conversation. I think it's the right thing for them to do. As far as, there's people out there who want this information. There's people out there who want to be part of this, and I feel as a huge consumer of Destiny that this is something that I wanted. This is something that I needed. I'm very excited about it. Lots of stuff to get to, but I did want to start by saying, Datto, it is so great to have you on the show. Welcome.
I should probably unmute. Thanks for having me. You guys have been around longer than I have, it feels like, so you guys are the real heroes.
How dare you, sir? How dare you, sir? So those longtime listeners know that you and I got to meet in person at the Guardians Ball on August 29th, 2014. It was really great to hang out with you, and it was really cool to enjoy that pre-Destiny, what could this game be moment in time. There was a lot we didn't know about the game. I mean, it turned out that we knew the majority of the game, but there was a lot that could have been, and so it was really cool to enjoy that moment of time with you. But this podcast at that point had been going on for 2 months when we met, and actually we are 2 months away from our 2-year anniversary. In 2 months from yesterday, we will have been going for 2 years, which is really cool. And it was always my intention to have you on as a guest because you are so awesome, and I respect your take on the happenings in Destiny. I feel like you're really even-handed, and you're not some kind of hype machine, but you do let yourself be happy about things that are to be happy about. I feel like you really enjoy Destiny. I feel like you want Destiny to be this thing that it could be. But I have this problem. I have this really big problem, and it's a huge detriment to this show right here. That is that I don't want my motives. I don't want Guardian 1's motives to be seen negatively. Mainly that I want to have you on to boost our viewership. Because I tell you what, I'm not lying right now. 231 people are watching right now, and that is not usually
not your average.
Yeah, that is not our average. I love the people who do come and watch the show, and we have a great time talking about Destiny. But I'm so paralyzed of thinking that people are going to think, oh well, they're just having Datto on because look at this is 200
Remy.
plus more.
No. You
I'm
you and Jez and me and all you guys have been around for so long. As soon as I saw this request, I was like, yeah, of course I'm coming on. Like it was a no-brainer. So no, it has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Just, much respect for you guys for doing this for 2 years now, almost 2 years. It was an instant yes.
Datto, I'm glad you said that, because when I told Remy that I asked you to be on the show, I thought he was going to kill me. So,
and plus, I gotta do anything from my boy Jez.
That's awesome. It occurs to me that we could have just from the beginning had Jez say to you, "Hey, would you like to be on this podcast I've been on for almost 2 years?" But again, this goes right back to my I just can't do it. I don't want people to think that we're out there just trying to get views. I mean, it's nice. I'm not gonna lie. It's insanely nice to have this many people listening to what's going on, but it's not why I want you here. I want you here because you have a really great take on certain things. And so I'd like to apologize for whatever Sharks had to do to get you on the show.
Here's what he had to do. He said, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast?" And I said, "Okay." That was basically the extent of the conversation.
That's good to hear, because my imagination started running wild, and I thought, well, I don't know, did Datto wake up next to a horse head with a little rose and an invitation?
I don't think anybody that listens to us for any length of time deludes themselves into thinking that we're all about self-promotion.
Right. It's nice. I do want people to listen. I do enjoy people. I love the feedback. I love when people write into us. I love when people say, I listened to you on the ride home. Like that means a lot. Crimson, your setup is going crazy.
Is it going crazy?
Yeah, it's going crazy.
I wonder if it's picking up my fan. Hold on.
So it's I don't know. It's really great to have you here, and I wanted to go over some things that we've talked about previously on this show that I wanted to get your take on, and I would like to start with things that will never happen in Destiny. And I've come up with two things that I've come to terms with that I don't think will ever be part of Destiny, at least not in any incarnation that we can think of. Like once WoW ran for a long enough time, they started getting crazy, like they jumped the shark. Not until Destiny jumps the shark will these things happen. And the first one is trading. Do you agree or disagree that we will never see trading in Destiny?
See, I don't know if I want to go completely one way or the other. I feel like if they were going to implement trading in some way, sort of like how the Division is doing it in patch 1.1, where you can only trade something to someone who is in your party, and you can only do it for like the first 2 hours that you had the item. I had that idea suggested to me from Matimio, who's like a YouTuber. And at first I wasn't too on board with the idea. Now I'm much more okay with it. Assuming that there are very, very specific rules. That's a tough one. I mean, I couldn't make a call on it.
That's basically what WoW does in dungeons anyways, for any gear worth having.
Right.
It's the same with Diablo 3. That's
I
how
feel
Diablo
like
3 does it.
It's a possibility, but you just gotta be very careful with it, because you never want to open like a black market where all of a sudden people are selling exotics and raid runs and all this kind of stuff, because that, let's be honest, that could happen.
Totally. That is actually what triggered me to think and feel that it's just never going to be a part of Destiny. It's one of those things where that's exactly what's going to happen. There's going to be a real money trading deal, and even I thought, what would be really cool is like, what about like Christmas time? You're able to give one person one item. I feel even that would be going too far. Even that would be exploited. And
Absolutely.
So it's just, I don't know. I
think another angle to that whole situation that needs to be taken into account is that Destiny has a really sort of, a tight control they like to have over their more exclusive items. Like, look how hard it was to actually get a Gallahorn. Now, if you open up trading, even within a group for 2 hours, well, now your odds just multiplied by 6 of getting that Gallahorn in this raid run, because if someone who already has a Gallahorn gets it, they can give it to you. So now you've just way increased your ability to get a lot of the rare items in the game.
I also think a reason for them not doing it is because even though you look at like all these other games, WoW, Diablo 3, Division, whatever other games do it, they all have a thing in common where their gear is very stat based, right? There's a lot of item slots, very, very stat based. So you're looking for that min max build a lot more than you're looking for it in Destiny. Whereas in Destiny, it's not as many equipment slots. Min maxing's not that big of a deal. If you can do it, great, but it's not really going to affect you that much. So there's not as much of an importance on loot in Destiny as it is in something like a World of Warcraft, a Diablo, a Division. So that's part of the reason why I think maybe they won't open up something like trading, is because they don't want to make it a bigger deal than I think they wanted it to be or something.
Yeah, I could definitely.
Hey, Remy, how's my mic now? Is it going crazy?
Sounds great.
You're good.
Okay, yeah, I was picking up my fan, I think.
Well, thank goodness mine's not picking mine up, because it's hot here in Washington right now. You know, when this period of time comes around, I know you tweeted out about this, Datto. You were saying that you were not a fan of this specific period of time because this means you have to wait until 2 o'clock in the morning to start doing some of your videos. And for me, as someone who's not trying to be timely with videos like that, I love this time period because this means that I have an extra hour in the day to get all of my daily stuff done. You know, like I've got kids and family, and with that comes, you know, a certain amount of time of my day not playing video games. And as it is, that extra hour, I can get so much stuff done. But now I've just come to really not like it at all because it's hot outside, and every time I open my window, cigarette smoke comes in. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's no, I was not thrilled when they changed it to 2 a.m. But I'm usually up pretty late anyway, so it's just like, all right, it's a delay it another hour. That's another hour I'm working on a different video or screwing around with something. So you deal with it, whatever. Part of the job.
Yeah, I see that. And you know what? Speaking of, you are a great YouTuber. I go to different YouTubers for different things. You know, like if I want someone to really romance the lore, I go to Bife's channel. You know, I if I want somebody who's trying to do like an entertaining aspect of it, I go to More Console's channel. You know, if I want it to be delivered to me in some kind of way, news specific way, I go to Planet Destiny. But you like I said this to you when we met. I love your videos because it's kind of like a manual how-to. Like I love your videos because the angle that you have on them is, I feel like you take a step back, you present the information, and then you give your specific thoughts on it, and I really enjoy that. I really enjoy how you don't. I don't know how to describe it, but it's excellent. And so, how is that going for you? It's been a long time since we've talked. You know, and you're doing great. You're doing absolutely amazing. So, how is everything in the YouTubers world?
It's you know, I've had my ups and downs since we met, but you know, things have been on the slow end, but that's mainly been for basically everyone except for someone like Mr. Fruit, who is kind of I almost don't consider him a Destiny channel anymore. I would consider him more of a variety gamer, and I feel like that's what he wants to move into, which is great. Like he's killing it. But yeah, everyone else is kind of like at the same point where it's like it's pretty slow going. You know, I had a pretty big dip a couple of months ago. I've stabilized since then, but you know, the way I do my videos, I was heavily influenced by Driftdoor, who does Call of Duty stuff. I was very excited to meet him when I first started doing Destiny things. But yeah, I always put my opinions after all the news and after all the facts, because some people just want the facts and then they want to move on, right? They don't care about what I think at all or whatever. So present all the information. Then if you want to hear what I think about it, you can listen to what I think about it. And I try to approach every little bit of information from as many angles as I can. Like I always provide, you know, counter arguments, or I end up playing devil's advocate because every other YouTuber's like, this is really bad or this is really good. And I'm like, okay, well, everyone's heard all the reasons why it's good or why it's bad. Let me just give you the other side of the perspective, and there's some people who don't appreciate that whatsoever, and then there's plenty of people who do. So
Yeah, see, that's definitely one of the things that I appreciate about you is that you have an analytical angle that you kind of take on things like that. You go beyond also just delivering news a lot of times to more how this news applies to the world. And like when I really want to know how something works that's new out, I know I go to your YouTube channel first.
Agreed.
yeah, I try to I it's okay if I got to take a little bit longer on a video if it means it's going to be formatted much cleaner, and I don't like to rush through it. I'd rather have the information, first of all of it correct. There's always seems to be an instance where I screw up on something, but I like to present it in a very clean format, make sure everything's there. It's not just me like riffing through patch notes or riffing through news or something like that. And so if I got to take an extra hour to do it, so be it.
Well, it kicks ass. It kicks ass a lot. Okay, and so the second thing that I think will never happen in Destiny is transmogrification. I hear a lot of hear a lot about people wanting their gear to look one way but do another way, and I feel like Destiny, Bungie has decided that what they want you to be able to do is identify a guardian, what they're wearing, and know what they're going to be able to do. And so when I think about this, I think there's just never going to be transmogrification. And the closest that we're going to get is what we have right now, which is basically just changing that one stat, which is light level, with another piece of gear, which after I would really like to use some of these rares. There's some really great rares out there that look amazing, look so much better than the legendaries in play right now, and I'd love to use those instead. But so transmogrification, will it ever happen, Datto?
I think there's a chance, because that's what they're trying to do right now, right? Sort of, is with these new armor pieces coming in the Sterling Treasure. That's the way to do transmogrification, right? They're trying to provide us with armor skins, individual skins for individual pieces of armor. And, I think that if Bungie wanted to make the right move, please don't call me right now, thank you. If Bungie wanted to make the right move in dealing with these microtransactions, to make them a little, I don't want to say user-friendly, but make them not as hated or not as on the line as they are now with the line of microtransactions, that the next step would be for them to make a transmogrification system. And I think, depending on how much work it is, it would really benefit them, because one, it would get people off their path for, pay to win issues, and two, they could create really cool stuff that would make people want to, one of the names right now of the new coming out, I don't get a good set of bonuses on the piece of gear.
We are losing you, Datto.
Oh, great.
Robot Datto.
Merrick is claiming you.
Merrick, goddamn. Oh.
Damn.
Still, am I still a robot?
Sort of.
Fantastic. I pay for this internet.
What you're saying was just too awesome, and the people who pull the strings can't hang.
Yeah, Activision trying to shut it down.
Right. You're revealing all their secrets.
I think a counter argument to it, though, is in general, your armor does nothing for what you can do. It's mostly like where you've been.
Right.
Well, I mean, when you see somebody with the armamentarium, they have 2 grenades, right?
Oh yeah, I suppose I wasn't thinking of that slot. I haven't ran exotic armor in probably about 6 months.
Oh, okay.
I think. Am I still a robot?
Oh, you're good.
You're getting better.
Okay, sweet. I forgot what I was talking about. So
transmogrification.
Yeah. So the issue with the gear coming out now is that if the bonuses aren't that good, well then or if you already have a piece of gear that has better bonuses, you're not going to use that piece of armor, right? So you might feel like it's a waste if you wanted to buy one of those Sterling Treasures. So by making it so the piece of armor just acts as a true skin, you don't have that problem of like crappy bonuses, and you don't have that problem of really good bonuses, right? You just give them the visual. And so that would get people off their back for pay to win. That might encourage people to actually buy more things, especially if they are not RNG based microtransactions, which is a whole different story. But it would allow them to create cool skins, and if there was a way to make it so, if you got a piece of blue gear and you just wanted the skin of it, you would have like a skin vendor, and it would be like, here's all your helms, here's all your bodies, here's all your gloves, here's all your boots, and you can just pick and choose which one, take the skin, equip it into a slot in the piece of armor, and there you go.
I like it.
I think that would be a good way to do it. There's also the suggestion of, when you infuse a piece of gear, it absorbs the bonuses as well. That's also a decent idea, but it might mess up a couple of things. I feel like that might be a little bit harder to do, but I don't know anything about programming. So, but I think both are reasonable things for maybe Bungie to pursue.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. Sharks, what do you think about this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm totally down with how Datto is saying that they could do it, and I think that eventually, maybe not to the point that a lot of people want transmog, but yeah, I think that they're trying to do that. And of course, we can go back to the same argument that people have used for a long, long time, that maybe all of this hasn't happened because we're still on last gen. So maybe when we get rid of last gen, they'll have more room to add stuff like this. But I mean, I think that they've done really good with what they've showed us the last few weeks. Lighting up your guns, lighting up your armor, different stuff like that. So I think we're in the right mode. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Give it the big update when we get that, and see what they add then.
Agrios.
Yeah, Destiny. When the devs have talked about anything related to that, they've always seemed so against it. So I got to lean toward it just never happening. Like I agree with Datto that I think what they're trying to do now is their version of transmog, as in letting you custom decorate that piece of armor, but it's still that piece of armor. I know whenever they mentioned exotics, they were always adamant on, well, if you see somebody with this, they can do this, and they were somewhere too. So they want these things to be special, like a trophy, as well. So I'm going to lean toward that. They're probably not going to do it, but I mean, I like what they're doing as far as customization goes. At least people who are wearing all the same end gear pieces will still not all look exactly alike.
Jez.
So when are we getting some sweet chroma for our sparrows so that we can have some ground effects? I mean, that's what I'm waiting for.
Doesn't the link a friend sparrow have some kind of glowing ground effects to it?
I wouldn't know. I don't have anyone to refer.
I've been meaning to LFG that as well. I know that there's places where you can go and meet newbies. I know that sounds weird, but I think that would be really cool.
But I think they definitely could do, especially like even just a Diablo style, however, leaving the exotic slot untouched. Because basically you had to get that gear to be able to use that armor, glamour, or whatever you want to call it. So why is it such a big deal that you don't have the same one that you had on it before?
I had been thinking of this basically from the exotic standpoint, but you're really right. As far as legendaries go, you could have any combination of abilities that are on any other one. I can't think of a legendary that has a specific thing it's not on something else. Like Rainblows shows up on many pieces of Titan armor.
Raid gear.
Yeah, the raid gear has like stupid little things that no one really cares about, but that's pretty much it.
You're so
funny,
Jess.
Well, a lot of people don't even like the raid gear anyways. It doesn't matter if you got the good perks.
I'm pretty sure this recent set of raid gear is just made so that people ask Datto what going on strike means.
Oh god, no, it's Goon Strike.
Um, I know
Thanks, I'll be
previously.
here all week.
Crimson Warlock.
So my thoughts about the whole transmog idea is, um, I'm not sure if we're going to see it, mostly because, like we've said before, Bungie does want your gear to tell a story to the other players around, and I don't think they want anyone to tell the story of, I have the starting gear and that's what I wear. We see that a lot in MMOs where people have their max raid gear, but because of a transmog system, they're running around in the level 1 like rags. Um, and so I don't think we're gonna see it for that reason. But the second reason is, for whatever reason, like Bungie just wants us to collect and then doesn't want us to collect and then says go have fun and then stop collecting, and I just don't know what to think anymore when it comes to that. So like it's just because they've been kind of changing their attitude in a lot of ways on how they want things to work. It's too up in the air to really say, just because they're like, oh, you can collect these guns, but then we're not going to carry them over in the next iteration of the game and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's one of those things that if we do see it, I think it's going to be, Destiny 2, brand new feature for everyone to enjoy, kind of a thing. Like it's not going to happen in this generation of Destiny.
I could see that. I could see that. All right. Well, thank you all for your thoughts on that. Datto, once upon a time, you tweeted out that you couldn't wait until raid weapons and gear were more than just regular pieces that have throw up on them. I'm curious to know what you think about these King's Fall weapons. If you feel the same way you felt about the Dark Below raid weapons and gear.
Yeah, they've definitely done a way better job on making the raid weapons much more unique. I feel like with the first with Dark Below, or sorry, Crota's End and Vaulted Glass, they were just like, yeah, just like whatever the default model is, just throw some goblin paint on there, and then just throw some protomorph on there, and it'll be fine. And I don't think they really gave it too much of a second thought to make the raid weapons look really badass, because it's like, what's you can like Fatebringer all you want. That thing did not look that cool, right? It was really good. Didn't really look that cool. So I definitely think they've done a much better job in making the raid weapons look really unique, look cool, because that's, when you do a raid, you want to look good, right? After doing all the hardest content in the game, you want to look badass, and nothing about the first couple sets of raid weapons said badass. They just looked like default models. So they've definitely done much better, and I think they kind of get it now.
I think the biggest improvement that they made, as far as all of this end game content is with the light system, with the infusion. Because my thing with when we were in the Dark Below times was that everybody was just wearing the same gear. I'm so sick of looking at that Warlock cloak. It was just disgusting. And now you are able to, if you wish, to wear something else. And I think that it might be a lot harder to get this gear in this current situation than it was back then. Not everybody at the tower has King's Fall gear. So I think that with them allowing you to move that light level to something else, it really opened up a lot of space. But I think that just everything, all of the end game activities have really given more. I'm seeing a lot wider variety. Some people are trials based, some people are raid based, some people are Iron Banner based, and now you can take whatever you like best and bring that up. Like Sharks is an Iron Banner guy. He loves Iron Banner, so when he gets something that he can infuse he infuses it into his Iron Banner gear. He loves the way it looks, and he's not being held back. He's not having to wear something else. And so I'm really excited about that. I think that that's really great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
think Infusion was great. Oh, sorry, you go.
well, no, I was just going to say is that I think that's what's really cool about what has happened in the game. You know, they've made it where you can actually use even the guns, because it's not just the gear, it's the guns too. And I take those guns when I go into a raid, and yeah, maybe I don't have the bonuses that the raid gear does against Taken, but I still can hold my own. So that's all I was going to say on that.
Datto, what did you think about SRL? Do you think that it was awesome? Did you enjoy playing it? Are you looking forward to more? And do you have any ideas on what they could do better or to reach more people? Because I feel like by putting that book behind a $10 price point, I feel like they pissed off a lot of people who otherwise could have really enjoyed that activity. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the book uh, doesn't really have too much to do with the enjoyment of the activity itself. I think people would have liked to see the stat tracking, and so I think if they would have given the book to everyone for free, but then you need to pay money to like unlock the pieces of gear that you got from the challenges, that might have been better. You know, because people like looking at their stats, right? They want to see how many wins they have and best lap times and compare it to your friends, right? That's the fun part of SRL. But otherwise, you know, I thought SRL was a very fun event. I'm very surprised we haven't seen it come back since, especially because I think it was very, very well done. You know, add a couple more maps. If they wanted to maybe test some battle modes on the Sparrows, you know, I think they could definitely do something like that as well. But I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen it at least one time, maybe in a rotation with Iron Banner or something. Um, you know, it feels like the perfect thing to have around once a month, like Iron Banner, right? Iron Banner, skip a week, SRL, skip a week, Iron Banner, and just kind of have it in rotation for things to do. But haven't seen it come back yet. I don't know when the hell it'll come back, but you know, it would be really nice to see it come back.
I agree. I enjoyed it a lot. It was for a long time. I've been looking for and two other things to do in Destiny. I have X amount of time to spend on playing video games, and as far as my wants are concerned, I really only want to play Destiny. Ever since I played Destiny in January of 2013, I say this all the time because that's when my drive to play anything other than Destiny really kicked in. I got to go down there. I got to do some testing of Destiny, and ever since I had that taste, like I was there for only a couple of hours, ever since then I just don't want to play anything else. Like the feel of the game is amazing. The hopefulness in the face of these overwhelming odds is fantastic. It's delicious. As far as I was going to buy the Division because everyone I know is playing the Division, but it's just not very hopeful. There's bags of biohazardous trash everywhere. What are we going to do with that? Even if we defeat this virus, like who's going to go and clean all this crap up? Dead people laying in the streets. It's not the environment.
What do you see that, Remy? People actually, like NPCs actually talk about that stuff in the game and stuff. That's actually part of like discussion and like story, like lore kind of is
Oh
what's
man,
going to happen with
it
that.
stresses me out. It stresses me out. And playing Destiny is it's just such a fantastic experience. And so SRL came along, and it was something to do that wasn't shooting. And we've talked about this a lot, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. What other activities could you see being part of Destiny that aren't shooting? Like I know leading up to release, Deej said over and over at different outlets, he said this is a boots on the ground first person shooter, and one of the things that I really was looking forward to due to Halo was a space battle type of deal. In Halo Reach, there's an entire level where you get into the spacecraft and you go have a giant space battle out in space outside of this planet. Like it's fun, and it was really well done. And the more I thought about Destiny, the more I thought this is where they're going with this. Like this level in Halo Reach was a test bed. It was a demonstration. It was a beta of what's to come in Destiny, and we did not get Saline. I will get to Forge mode because Bungie, after all, you're correct. But no, like space battles. What do you think about space battles, Datto? Is this something that you are interested in also? Do you think that it fits in Destiny? Do you think we'll see it? Do you want it?
I'm pretty apathetic towards it. I'm pretty neutral on it. It's never been something where I was like, I was never expecting it to be in the game. I don't think they have any sort of system set up for it. I feel like it would be kind of random if they introduced it almost. I would embrace it. I would totally embrace it. I imagine many other people would as well. But it would feel weird almost. Like I was like, all right, you guys are gonna work on some space battles. All right, okay, because they have emphasized so much first person shooter, and they're really sticking to their guns with that. They've gotten a little more RPG friendly with the Taken King. Embracing stuff like swords and whatever, and more stats and this and that. I'm pretty neutral on it. If it came, cool. If it didn't show up, I'd be like, that's totally fine as well. No real strong feelings one way or the other on that situation. Yeah, it almost doesn't feel like it fits in with the theme of like what Destiny's trying to go for.
Well, it's interesting you say that.
I guess
I've
nothing's
seen
out of the
comments.
picture.
I've seen comments like online when people were talking about SRL, where someone will say, "I bought a shooter, not a racing game. Quit encouraging them." So I've seen more than one comment like that online. Um, what do you feel about comments like that as far as that goes? Do you think that, some people want this stuff, some people don't? Do you feel like people are going to be angry that they're wasting time on these other things
I mean,
if they continue to put things other than shooting events out?
people are going to be mad no matter what they do, right? It doesn't matter what
Well,
they do.
right.
Someone is going to be angry with something. Would people get angry at space battles? Absolutely. Doesn't matter. People are going to get angry about it. I guess it's more about minimizing the anger and just being able to put something that's fun into the game. Worst case scenario, you don't have, no one forced you to play SRL, right? No one made you play it. You could have played it if you wanted to, or you could just have ignored it. I definitely think Destiny needs more fun things to do, like more fun game modes and relaxed game modes, or just, kind of weird things. I've come up with a few custom game modes myself. But, space, I guess you could put space battles in sort of the same realm as SRL. Like, people have been riding around on the Sparrows and doing joke races and stuff like that. Whereas with space battles, that's not even something that's remotely close to being able to be replicated in the game. So with SRL, at least there was kind of like a grounds for like, okay, people like, screwing around their Sparrows and doing tricks and races and stuff. Let's give them a race and see how they like it.
I could see that. I understand that.
Yeah. So it's just about experimenting with what's going to work and what's not going to work, right? Because Bungie can make something really cool, or what they think is really cool, but until it actually comes out to the public and it gets a real opinion on it, there's no way of them knowing if the thing that they have made is something that the community wants or likes, right? That's the only way they can test it, is to release it. And unfortunately, to release it, you need it to be working flawlessly, which takes a lot of work. So, it's finding what ideas you think are going to encapsulate most of the community into kind of playing them, or what you think will get them excited. Obviously they could poll the community and be like, hey, we're testing these ideas. Which ones would you like us to pursue? But I feel like that kind of gets into a iffy situation because, if something doesn't work out, people have that false expectation of like, oh, well, this was the most voted thing, therefore we're getting it right. And then they build it, and then it's like, oh, well, it didn't work, or it's too abuse heavy, or we just, couldn't get it down to work properly, and then you just piss off a whole bunch of people. So that's kind of like it's kind of an iffy route, but
Yeah.
you're never going to know if people are going to like something unless you actually give it to them to try out.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, and it was a surprise when that mission came up in Reach. It was like, oh my goodness, this is a first-person shooter where you sometimes take control of a vehicle, a ground vehicle, and or some kind of smaller aircraft. All of a sudden, here you are in space in this battle. And as far as that goes, I thought it was really great, and I hope to one day fly these ships around. I think it would be absolutely amazing. But I definitely see what you're saying. Whereas there was some kind of grounding for Sparrow Racing, there was, this is something that we do. So let's. What is your take? What was your take on Crimson Doubles? Was that an enjoyable activity? And do you think that it would have been nearly as popular if they hadn't decided if you finished 7 games, you would get that 320 Ghost?
I think that the concept of the Broken Heart buff was pretty cool, and I think it was a cool game mode. People were maybe just expecting a little bit more from the Crimson Days event itself. But as a game mode itself, it was cool. It created this situation and this dynamic that you don't normally get to experience, right? You don't normally get to have full armor, recovery, and agility, right? So it gave you this unique experience. But unfortunately, I think it was overshadowed by just kind of I don't want to say low quality, but the low amount of content that was in that update, even though it was never really designed to be this hefty kind of update. It was just supposed to be this little like, hey, it's Valentine's Day, here's some stuff. Okay, cool. All right, we're gonna go back to work now. But what was the question about the ghost shells?
Do you think that it would have been as popular? Because for me, I know that I was I was playing with my girlfriend. I was playing with the flounderfish, and she got 3 ghost shells almost right in a row, and I didn't get anything. And then what kept me happy about that was knowing that if I just completed 7 of these games, that I was going to get a 320 ghost shell. Do you think that it would have been as popular if they hadn't done that? Do you think that people would have been crazy? Because I wasn't going to be as happy as I ended up being.
Well, the whole giving a 320 ghost shell to the people who participated was more of a kind of response to the fact that it was super, super difficult to get these ghost shells. The first game I played, my partner ended up getting a ghost shell. I was like, okay, it looks like these things are going to be pretty common. Turns out, not so much. So there wasn't really anything they could do to like increase the drop rate for like the last 2 days or whatever. So they're just like, screw it. If you play 7 games, we're just going to give you a 320 ghost shell. So that made people happy. You just had to play a few games. I don't think that happening caused the event to be any more or less popular, because if you were not playing the event, you were probably not playing the event because you don't like PvP or you don't like 2s. And if you were playing it, then it's because you do like PvP or do like 2s or something like that. So it might have been an extra incentive for people who might have not done PvP to go do it. But I don't think they were doing the PvP just to go have fun with it. Obviously, there was the incentive of getting the 320 ghosts. So yeah, it was just a response that they had to do. Otherwise, they would have pissed off a significant portion of the community. I think even over a ghost shell.
You also have to realize that during that event, lots of people got 320 helmets too. I mean, that's really what a lot of people were doing, is they were farming it for the helmets.
Right, because I mean, helms are definitely a little bit harder to get than a ghost, or at least 320 ghost from King's Fall. I would say the Oryx encounter is a little bit harder than the totems. But people like to collect things. They want to be able to get that ghost. They want a chance at a high level item or a unique item, and So it just, the drop rates weren't high enough, and they needed to buff them, but they couldn't do it, the way probably that they wanted it to do or wanted to do it. So they're just like, screw it, 7 games. Here's your ghost. Let's just make some people happy, right? We had enough people complaining. Just ghosts for everybody. Here, shut up, shut up. Here's your ghosts. Please play it a little bit, and then we'll talk to you in April.
They were literally handing out candy.
Yeah.
What do you think that Bungie could do in the future to kind of manage people's expectations? Because I absolutely agree with you that what they were trying to do was give you just a little something. Here's a little something extra. How would Bungie, in your opinion, be able to do something, something nice? I feel like the Crimson Doubles was nice. I did also feel like there wasn't enough in that, but how could they turn it around and do something small like that? Because I don't want to discourage them from doing something small. Like, here is a tiny gesture, here is a extra little something. Enjoy.
Don't announce it. Don't announce it ahead of time.
Oh, there it is.
Just say, like, the Crimson Doubles thing. You could have popped in and be like, "Oh, look at this! What's going on here? This is cool." Yeah.
That's
as
awesome.
opposed to Bungie blasting it out. Because whenever Bungie makes an announcement, especially in year 2, it's always been, like, everyone's like, "Is it new content? New content? Oh, we need the new content." So people think that any update to the game is supposed to come with this significant amount of content, and I think maybe if they downplay it a little bit and just like SRL, maybe not blast it out at PlayStation Experience, because I guess people were expecting a much bigger update. Maybe put that in, like, the This Week at Bungie, like, hey, starting on Tuesday, Sparrow Racing, let's do this.
I remember
Doubles, just don't even announce it. Just have it spring into the.
I remember the PlayStation Experience announcement for SRL, and we're all like, okay, well, now we're going to wait for the real announcement, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly, because it was around the time that Dark Below came out the previous year, right? Everyone's expecting some sort of Dark Below level thing, but that just goes in part with Bungie not being able to keep up their release schedule from last year. It's just the amount of stuff that they were able to do, they're just not able to keep it up for whatever reasons, So, yeah, people just expecting a little bit more. So, but I think Bungie still wanted to have something at PlayStation Experience. So that was just what they had, and they kind of introduced this whole system of the live team and all that kind of stuff. So maybe just downplay the smaller stuff. Just maybe spring it on people. Just let people be surprised, because I almost feel like there's this connotation with this kind of stuff where it's like if you blast it out, everyone's like, "Oh, this is what you've been working on for the past 3 months." Blah, 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 blah. Even though I don't know, 99.9% of people have no idea how game development works. Whereas if you just kind of like spring it on people, it's just a little nice surprise, and it doesn't feel like it has this perception of like, we worked on this for a whole bunch instead of something else, right? It's just kind of like, oh, look at this thing. That's cool.
I like that a lot.
It's just perception.
Absolutely. And that's exactly, I didn't know what the answer was going to be that you gave me, but that's exactly what I was looking for. That is a great way of doing it, because if you aren't having this build up to something, then you're also not having this letdown. What's happening is people are showing up to the tower for the first time that moment, and all of a sudden it's totally changed, and then they can come in with the description maybe later that afternoon, and giving you the real thing instead of building it up. That's really great. It's a great answer, Datto.
Yeah.
Answer.
One thing that I think Bungie also needs to do is have more confidence in what they're going to give us as an experiment. They've done this for almost 2 years now, right? They should know in a lot of aspects what their audience is going to enjoy. Like, for example, Sparrow Racing. How cool would it have been for Bungie to have more confidence that Sparrow Racing was going to be good? Initially only give us the 2 tracks that they did, see that reaction and say, hey, people like this, and just, say, hey, next week there's 2 more tracks for you guys. Whereas if they had kept that quiet and the public didn't like it, then yeah, there only would have been those 2 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're just putting their toe in the water to feel a little too much. They need to jump in more with the expectation that it's going to be received well, so that they should trickle more content out in an experiment for us to enjoy.
It's like I would love that, but it's also just them trying to be risk averse. They don't want to maybe gamble more than they really want to on certain things, because let's just say people ended up hating SRL. It's like, well, we created 6 maps for this thing and we're just never going to do it again. So they'd rather start small and then build it up if people like it, as opposed to starting big and then having to throw it all away if people don't like it. So it's all about risk management. I think with them, it would be nice if they did it like you were describing, but you just don't know if the community is going to like it or not like it. And they seem to be working their asses off on whatever they're able to churn out. So I guess they're just trying to downplay the risk of losing a whole bunch of work.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Saleen, I think that's how you say that, SA7EEN, brought up Forge, and this is something that I wanted to bring up too. And I know that you said that you don't play Halo, or you've never played Halo, so that you don't get the references. But
I know what Forge mode is.
Okay. I am so in love with Forge. Like, playing Halo for me was part playing the campaign, part playing the multiplayer, and then almost the entire rest of my life playing in Forge mode. I love making maps. I love trying to figure out where people are going to go from different spawn points and creating areas for people to engage in combat. It's one of the reasons I really love the maps in Destiny. It's clear that the people who made them put in a ton of love and effort into balancing and making it interesting to look at. And I love Forge mode. And I wanted to say that I think that we will get a Forge mode at some point. But every time I've talked to a Bungie employee about this, every single one of them has said something to me along the lines of, well, if you look at the arc for Halo, Forge wasn't introduced until Halo 3. Like they will say something along these lines, like we are still in the Halo 1 time frame. And I get it. I totally get it. And it's something that I'm so ready to do and so ready to put time and effort into. What do you think about Forge, Datto? Is it something that you'd put time and effort into, or would you be excited about something like this?
I would love to see Forge. I would love to see custom game modes and custom creations that the community make, because at the end of the day, the community is the only group of people who are going to be able to keep up with the community, right? Developers are never going to be able to churn out enough content to make the community happy.
Yeah.
But if you let 100,000 people start creating their own things, suddenly you have this vast explosion of content. The problem is that I would assume to introduce something like that into the Destiny network would probably amount to a game's worth of development in and of itself.
Definitely.
So, so many people like to think that stuff can just be added to the game willy-nilly because other games have them. Like Call of Duty has private matches, Halo has private matches, why can't Destiny have private matches? Or Forge mode or something like that. Destiny's single-player or multiplayer PvE, PvP experiences are all combined into this one fluid network. It's not like you pop open a Call of Duty, it's like, okay, do I want to go to single-player section? Do I want to go to the multiplayer section? Or do I want to go to the zombie section? Destiny has all that connected. So not only do you need to build that system into the game, given that the game is completely connected, you need to make it accessible to players while providing it bug-free, hack-free, abuse-free, while making sure that everything actually works, and with the way that Destiny's network is put together, I imagine that's pretty tough to do. So it's not just like, a lot of people's like, oh, just take Halo's Forge mode and shove it into Destiny, like, just do that. Like, well, it's not really how it works. So it would be awesome to have it, and I think user-generated content would be awesome. I would love to go make these ridiculous, PvP maps and modes and all these custom rules and stuff like that. But I'm willing to bet that is significantly harder to do it than most people think.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay. So moving on. Another thing that I'm really interested in, is something that I'm curious to know what you think about, is like apartments, like personalized apartments. There's a game that, in my mind, is very similar to Destiny called Phantasy Star, and in this Phantasy Star, you were given this house where you could put up like awards and trophies, and you made it your own through gathering up different things. And I think that something like this would be really great. Like I don't pull out my shadow price for any reason really. But I would love to hang it up on a wall in a place that is my own. Additionally, what about guild housing? Either a section of the tower or a whole tower to a clan, and in addition, what do you think is behind that giant round door by the speaker? Because I want to believe that it is guild housing / my apartment, and I can't wait for them to let it open. So just riff on apartments, guild housing, giant round door by the speaker.
I think guild housing would be awesome. A big problem with Destiny right now is that there's not enough clan support. My clan has the TeamSpeak and we have a Slack channel, but not every other clan is as ingrained as we are. We're much more of an MMO style clan as opposed to like a shooter clan, I guess. But having something like a meeting place where a bunch of clan members can meet up in their own instanced section of the tower would be nice, because you can see who's online, you can see what people are doing, and all that kind of stuff. But you would need to improve the clan system that's in the game right now. I know Bungie has said like, oh, just let the community make the tools and but it's going to be more impactful if it's put into the game itself, right? Not that many people are going to go look for these extraneous tools that are out there for people to use, the LFGs, the clans that you might have to go find on Bungie.net. So I think giving people more ways to meet up with other people, and guild and clan housing being something along those lines, would be great, because Destiny is at its most fun when you can play with other people. So the more you can connect to other people, the better your experience will be, right? I know most of us in the clan are still playing Destiny because we just like playing the game with each other. If I was playing solo, I probably wouldn't be playing it as much. So getting people connected and staying together and just being able to form these organizations would be great. So part of guild housing, I think guild housing should take a priority over maybe individual apartments. Maybe make that into your ship instead, as opposed to an apartment. But yeah, I think clan and guild housing would be a nice step forward to start to connect people to other people in the game so that they can have more fun. And Big Door, it's actually a garage for the speaker's Mercedes.
I like it. I like that a lot. Okay, so last thing before we move on. Like I said previously, I really want to exist more in this world and not be shooting. Like I really enjoy this world. Sometimes I'll just go to the tower. Mostly I'm just going to the tower to item manage, because my vault is absolutely full. Actually, that's one more thing I want to know. Are you a collector? Is your vault space full? Are you excited about the new vault space?
Yes, I'm very excited. I always think like, okay, we're getting more vault space, but there's no way I'm gonna fill it up again. And then I fill it up again. And yeah, no, the blueprint vendors and stuff like that, oh, it was a godsend. Absolute godsend. Loved when I saw that stuff, because I do like collecting. I like to show that I have every single thing, and the blueprint vendors allow me to do that. But then there's stuff I gotta hang on to, like my super old shadow price, or or my super old this or that or whatever it is, or full set of level 30 gear or
Yeah.
whatever I want to hang on to. But yeah, I'm super excited about that.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited about it, and I'm curious to know how long it will be. I am absolutely just packed to the brim right now, and I don't know that I'm going to make it until the 12th.
Yeah.
And this is after I did a really great sweep. Like I went through and deleted a bunch of doubles that I had. You know, there's some kind of some pulse rifles that I'm never going to use, but I got like these great rolls on them. I went through and I whittled it down to like one or two of those because never going to use them again. Cool that I have them. Don't want to throw them away. Spend a lot of time um, um, trying to get a lot of this gear. Don't really want to throw it away. But okay, thank you for that. Okay, so the last thing, like sometimes I end up just hanging out in the tower. What do you think about some kind of video game within this video game? Like in my mind, the two that I have in mind are like a Contra style Destiny. Like you walk up to some machine in the tower and you can play like a side-scrolling 16-bit version of Destiny where there's a high score and people could spend time on it.
Like a Metal Slug kind of thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But like Destiny themed, so you still have,
Right.
you still have each of the subclasses. And the other one that I had is like some kind of life force, like a side-scrolling, like a little jet. You're in, one of your planes. You could even be in the plane that you're in right now. And it's like a side-scrolling shooter. I would like to throw in this great this great example Jez came up with, which was Whack-A-Vandal, which I guess would be
Yeah.
some kind of whack-a-mole deal. What do you think about that? Is this also an example of something like the space battles that takes you too far out of reality? They don't already have that. Like you were saying, SRL had, they already have sparrows. Do you think that that's something that would be a waste of time? Because to me, it would greatly increase the time that I spent just hanging out in the tower. Sometimes I just don't want to shoot. Sometimes I have video game time to burn. Sometimes I just want to hang out. So what do you think about that?
I mean, it would be great. It would be cool to have those things. It just all depends on how quickly and how easy they would be to actually make them. I don't know if that's really in their line of things that they want to put in. Like if it was a little side project someone was working on, that'd be cool. And they just dropped in the tower one day. It's like, hey, it's Destiny Metal Slug. Like you go play it in the tower or something like that. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But yeah, it's kind of along the same lines. Like, would it be cool? Absolutely. Do I expect it? No. Do I think they're gonna spend their resources on something like that? Probably not.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just like at some points I'm just sitting there thinking like, what would be really cool right now is a low stress something to do. Don't want to don't want to shoot, just don't want to shoot. Want
Yeah.
to exist in Destiny, and then I don't know. It's these are just things that we've talked about on the show over the course of its run, and I started thinking like, man, when Datto gets here, I'd love to know what he thinks about these other things, because you are very invested in Destiny, and you can tell that you love Destiny by the content that you make. This is not just a job for you. This is not just a way of surviving. This is something that you honestly love. It shows in your work. It's really great to have you here tonight.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, it's I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind. Keep going.
I think
right.
we should go a little conspiracy theory here and say they'll do this, but make it require one silver, one play.
Oh God.
Oh man, why would you do that?
They would incite riots.
Oh yeah. So
I
there. Now
love
we're talking about it.
I love having Jez on the show, but he's kind of like Two-Face in that, is he going to be helpful? Is he going to be harmful? He's got such great ideas, and at the same time, why would you do that, Jez? Because I would pay. I would pay. Do you hear that, Bungie? I would pay.
Yeah. I think if you told that to someone, at Bungie, they would be like, well, there's like 8,000 other games that are exactly what you're looking for in that form. So you should maybe go play one of those instead.
Right, but I want
That's
to
what I imagine
exist.
they would say.
You totally, and I think that that's something that this panel has told me as well. But I want to exist in Destiny. Like I don't want to go to another game. I want to spend time there, in the tower.
Well, I'm curious about something. What are your thoughts on them not using old content? And I'm not just talking about old content like raids, which we all would like them to bring back raids, but they phase out strikes, they phase out PvP maps. I mean, why do you think they do it? And would you like to see them bring back old stuff?
I would love to see Vault of Glass, Courtesan, all those things brought up to the max level. I don't know what the reason is for them not bringing up the old stuff. You know, it could be just it's going to be a ton of work to do it. You know, obviously they're bringing back the Winter's Run strike, which a lot of people are happy about. And I think they absolutely could retool these things, right? They're doing it with this Winter Strike, with something like the raids. I feel like they would have done it already if they were going to do it, considering how much people really liked something like Vault of Glass, something like right Octa, as he says in the chat, is like bringing back Courtesan would make sense. Exactly, in terms of story and lore. It's like, oh, we killed him, and then we killed his dad, but now he's back.
And now here's more better weapons.
Right,
it's
yeah. So
Fred the sword bearer.
Yeah, so I feel like they would have done it already if they were planning on doing it. It could just be like something just broke, and it's like it's just not going to work in year 2 or something like that, or it just be too much work to get them working again. You know, I always pose this question. It's like, you can have back Vault of Glass, or you can have something new. Pick one, right? I don't know if it comes down to that in terms of like equal time spent, but I figure that's along the lines.
But they do it on like PvP maps too. Like you don't see. I can't remember the name of the original one where
First Light.
You don't ever see that. And that was an awesome map. There's no reason for them not to have it.
That I have no idea.
Do you remember when it first came out and everyone said it was the worst one?
Yeah. Well, vehicles have never really worked well, but I think First Light coming back at least is something that a lot of people like. But the PvP maps, I don't know. Like, I like playing on a lot of those old PvP maps. I don't know why they kick them out of the rotation. I think they should. It would be nice to have some of those back, but I don't know. I could not fathom the reason. But the raids is a little different story. It could be a workload thing.
Okay. Agrios, did you have any questions you wanted to throw to Datto before we start talking about the stream?
Yeah. They're more technical oriented questions with you becoming
Sure.
a big YouTuber and whatnot, though. First off, I'll ask them both at the same time. You can just answer them however you want. How much has the time changed that you dedicate per, say, the average 15-minute video from when you very first started making videos to now? And also, what were your thoughts on where you were going with this when you posted your very first YouTube video?
First question, I've gotten a little bit more efficient at making the videos, so I'd say it takes me, maybe slightly less time than it used to make, a more in-depth video or a news coverage video, because I've gotten into the rhythm. I know what I need to do and what I can ignore and stuff like that. So I've gotten a little more efficient at it, but over like maybe the past 3 months or so, I'd say it's, about the same amount of time to make a video. I've streamlined the process very, very much so. As with my very first video, I wasn't expecting it to go anywhere. I had done Call of Duty YouTube content for about 2 years on and off before I started doing Destiny stuff. And, I thought maybe if I start early and I kind of develop this repertoire and this reputation for myself, that maybe it could go somewhere. Maybe we get a little something going. And it did. That prediction came true. I just didn't think it would come as true as it did, when the game released. And then, even after the first couple of months, I was like, oh boy, people are not too happy about Destiny. They're not really digging it too much. And I actually started looking for other jobs again, probably the end of October, because I was like, "There's no way this is ever going to keep up. I'm going to have these great 2 months, save a little money, and then I gotta go back to work." And lo and behold, we're still here, and I'm still somehow making videos. I somehow have survived this long without my brain exploding. And we're getting pretty close to that point, but for now, I'm still somehow churning out content, and it blew up in a way that I never ever thought that it would blow up. To this day, like every YouTuber will tell you that. Every YouTuber will say the same exact thing when you ask them, "Did you ever think your channel would blow up?" Everyone will say no, because you don't do it to blow up. You do it because you like to do it at the start, at least, right? You're not getting paid. You're not getting a lot of views or whatever, so.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that really separates you, makes you special, is the imagination put into some of your videos. Like, you don't just report the news, you don't just say how you feel about that or how that fits in with the rest of Destiny, but things like the blind raid where you beat Crota without looking at the screen, like, that's awesome. And incidentally, I'm curious to know, there's a lot of talk on Twitter about the first no HUD raid run. Are you excited about that? Is that something you will be doing?
Yeah, if I can get the group together on Tuesday to do it, I'm absolutely gonna try to do that. Especially because the challenge mode is going to be Golgoroth, and I'm very excited to try out Golgoroth no HUD. I don't think it'll be as hard as we think it'll be.
Counting down.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't have a timer anymore, so you're just gonna have to start from 20 and count it down. But everyone's gonna be in and out, and everyone's gonna be counting, and so I don't think it'll be as hard as maybe the community thinks it will be. But I'm still plenty excited to go do a no HUD raid. But I'm also excited because now I get to start to bring back some of my old machinima ideas for Destiny machinima. So I'm hoping I can, bring that back and start
just do the no gun glitch
machinimas.
and you have the perfect HUD.
Yeah. Oh wait.
Right. That's exciting.
Is there a way to tell if you have your own supercharged with no HUD?
I don't know. Good question. Not sure.
Very good question.
You won't know when your grenades and melees are charged. I can see that probably being.
You might get the sound cue. You might get the sound cue when your super pops up, but the other things, no idea. You're just gonna have to kind of guess.
There's what is it? The Apple of Discord, the ranged scope on that tells you when your grenade and when your melee is up when you zoom in.
Also, remember your light bar glows yellow.
Your light bar
on your PlayStation 4 controller.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, see, there's always somebody smart in our stream, and it's always Jez.
Sorry, Xbox.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the machinima ideas as well. Like I've had some as well that I tried to make some machinima on Halo, but I put way too much thought into it, overthought it, and am excited about even just taking pictures without the HUD. Certainly, I've been doing the go to the start button and then backing out and hitting that share really quickly. But no HUD at all is going to be really cool. I think that it's going to be amazing because Destiny feels the way it does. Oftentimes, you don't need the heads up display to even play. Like if you're not ever shooting from the hip because it's not as accurate. I don't know. It's going to feel more visceral. It's going to be awesome. Sharks, did you have anything else you wanted to ask Datto before we move on?
No, I'm good at the moment.
Jez, is there anything you wanted to ask Datto before we move on?
Fuck no.
Crimson Warlock, did you have anything else for Datto before we move on?
Destiny Beta 2 questions. No, just kidding.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. I'm going to head out of here. No.
Right, there's always one.
Hey, it was like an hour and 34 minutes before.
Yeah, you got a good chunk out of me.
I wanted to ask him that. I was going to ask him if my beta character was going to carry over to Destiny 2. I know they skipped Destiny 1, but I still had hopes for Destiny 2.
It's funny because I saw people asking that about the division, and I thought of Datto. Like if every time for the rest of my life, if I see somebody asking about beta characters carrying over into the actual game, Datto's gonna flip into my brain. Like did
Yeah.
that do like did that do psychological damage to you, Datto, or did you at some point were you able to just let it slide off your back?
Yeah, no, I mean, I you get over it at some point. And there's definitely at a point where it's like it was frustrating because so many people were asking, but then it's like, okay, we're here now. We're at this point. I'm never gonna hear the end of it.
Nope.
It's
Every time Remy, every time I see that, I think of you. I have like this gut response to forward you the question I see, like the link to it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've accepted that it'll be a part of my life now.
it's both funny and sad because it means that people are thinking of you. That's awesome. It's
They're
awesome that
thinking of me for an incredibly stupid thing.
right.
I am connected with dumb,
Oh, it is sad.
At least you're a good sport
but
about it,
that's my
Datto.
life. Yeah.
Okay, well then, Agrios, why don't you hit us with the news? Maybe you should unmute
All right.
first.
No, yeah, I'm ready to go. That mute button. All right, so the spring update deploys on Tuesday, April 12th, and with it come a lot of changes. We had the last update preview here. Deej hosted design lead Lars Bakken, senior designer John Wisniewski, and designer Grant McKay. And there's quite a few changes to the way we're going to be playing Destiny. We'll start with the rewards. Most legendary rewards, or there will be more legendary rewards at the end game reward screen for the Crucible. The Shack's weekly bounty will provide up to 335 rewards. Trials bounties will award weapons and armor up to 330, with drops and the Lighthouse chest giving rewards up to 335. One of the Trials bounties, his Eye Upon You, is now a daily and can be repeated. The Iron Banner will now drop Iron Banner legendary items instead of legendary engrams at the rewards screen. Iron Banner rank 3 and 5 packages will drop 320 artifacts and ghosts respectively. The Iron Banner rank 5 package rewards are up to 335. Saladin will now sell both armor pieces at rank 3 and a weapon at rank 4 and a weapon at rank 5. The faction package rewards are now going to be up to 330. And potential rewards for new quests also specify 310 special weapon engram and 310 armor engram. There are 10 reprised Prison of Elders legendary weapons going to be available at 335. So aside from the Sterling treasures that we already knew about, this is a pretty decent upgrade to how we'll be rewarded, mainly through PvP means on this update here. Do you think this is enough of a ramp up on the rewards, Remy?
Datto.
Yeah. People are definitely looking for ways to get loot a little bit easier, and they're certainly doing that, especially with the infusion change. It's just totally lossless now. Just go straight to the thing you want. I think that's a nice quality of life thing for a lot of people. It's not a big deal if people like me are rushing to 335 because we were going to do that anyway. So I think for the majority of the player base, it's nice for them to be able to get to a higher place much faster than they normally used to be able to. So people want to feel strong regardless of how much they play. So more higher light items dropping for those people means more happy people, means maybe they don't feel like they need to grind as much. Maybe they don't get burned out on the game. Or, maybe they just get done with the game and they're ready to move on to something else and they can come back later, But overall, net good changes for most of the community.
You know what? That's really what this is about, because you're right. There's the people in the community who are going to rush to the end anyways. They're the people who are running every single thing they can every single week, and they get to that cap. They get to that end a lot quicker than people who aren't running it every single week. And so what I think is happening here is they're just including a lot more people into the people who are going to make it to that end number. You know, I would be curious. I would be excited to see the numbers of people, like how many people, what percentage made it to 30, what percentage of people made it to 32, what percentage of people made it to 34, what percentage of people made it to 320. I think that what you're seeing there is because there was so many more moving parts, a lot more people did not make it to the end, and a lot of people got frustrated and moved on to other games. And so what this is going to do is bring in a lot more people into the fold of the end game. Like they've always talked about sloping the floor and trying to get people to just do this little bit more. It's going to help them because you're playing their game. It's going to help you because you want to achieve more. And so, yeah, that's a really great point, Datto. Sharks.
It's a great way to keep from people being forever 334. So yeah, it's a perfect move. You know, if they could do it to more things, I think they should. In fact, you know, there's one thing that really surprised me, is that they didn't say that you could actually get stuff like that from Nightfall. You know, that's again, it's quote unquote end game stuff. You should be able to get that loot. But I mean, what they've done so far, it's definitely going to help a lot of people.
Jez.
It's a great way to stay in shape. No, it's more ways to get things. It's awesome. That's all people care about, getting the loot. Though it should be more about getting the loot that you want. So getting more loot means getting the loot you want and cherry picking. So, yeah.
Crimson Warlock.
I basically feel the same way. I got burned out on the content just because I was sick of going to the Cryptarch with legendary engrams and getting another like 290 legendary. You know, it took forever to level up my light level, to the fact that like I didn't even want to try challenge mode anymore. The last time I did challenge mode, it was the last straw for me, just because I didn't get my challenge rewards. Like we did challenge mode, everyone got theirs, mine didn't drop. And I didn't get anything from the previous boss either. I was just getting the shards, and I wasn't able to complete works that week. And I was just like, you know, if rewarding me for completing the challenge mode isn't what Destiny wants to do, like I'll just wait for an update. And I'm glad that this update does seem to be wanting to reward you quicker. I'm just wondering, you know, how many people will stick around after they hit that 335 and have done Prison of Elders enough times to feel like they're done with Prison of Elders. And I hope this isn't another House of Wolves 2.0, where with me anyway, I felt like House of Wolves was great for about a month. And by that time, I'd done the quests and I'd done Prison of Elders enough times to be frustrated when I wasn't able to kill Skolas after 3 hours of work to get there and hitting my head against the wall. So I'm glad for the changes. I just hope that they're enough to keep the community entertained until our next bit of content.
Agrios, and then moving on.
I think it sounds good for the PvP end of things. I think it sounds good for, you know, the loot drops in general. I really like what Datto mentioned before, the infusion, the way that's being handled now should alleviate a lot of issues, because to get any appreciable distance above, you not only needed, you know, to get that high end drop, but every 7 light in between you and that drop in order to make it there. And hopefully the removal of all that extra grind will just make the end game getting the 35 experience a lot more just enjoyable, the ride, so to speak. And moving on. So the next major change we have coming to the Crucible is, and everywhere really, is with ammo. Special ammo will again be available at match start in all modes except for elimination. In elimination, special ammo arrives at 3 minutes and then again 2 minutes later. Heavy will now only arrive once per match at 5 minutes in every mode except for elimination and mayhem, in which it will remain as it was before. Swapping special weapons in PvP now completely removes special ammo until more is found on the map. This is a pretty big change. Removes a bit of versatility, but stops a lot of the particular abuses that were going on with secondary weapons. They reduced the total ammo inventory for all sniper rifles by roughly 5 to 7 rounds. The exact amount depends on the given rifle. They also reduced the total amount of ammo inventory for all shotguns by 5 to 7 rounds, again, depending on the shotgun. They're increasing the special ammo drop rate in all PvE activities to offset the reduced inventory for the shotguns and the snipers. And they are reducing the fraction of ammo granted by purple bricks in PvP. This change affects all machine guns, but only a handful of rocket launchers, though Truth is one of the affected rocket launchers. They've also reduced the bonus ammo inventory granted by the machine gun ammo perk by 33%. What do you guys think about the newest update to the way the secondary ammo is handled and the rest of these changes? Datto?
Well, it kind of sucks for PvE players who have to experience these PvP-related nerfs. I'm not too happy to see, my sniper or whatever get their ammo reduced because it's a problem in PvP. But I don't think it's like an earth-shattering change for PvE players. It's not going to be that brutal where they're not going to be able to operate anymore, which is okay, but it just, it's an unfortunate side effect. But overall, I'm pretty happy with that. Especially the heavy ammo change, where it only spawns once now instead of twice, and it's a little bit less. I know that's been a huge complaint from the community, is just too much heavy ammo. It kind of like ruining some of the games. I get that Bungie wanted it to be this big swinging point in a game where it's like, oh, maybe if we get the heavy, we can come back and kind of make our charge. But it just, did not end up being fun to play against. And so I think the change was made for the better. The special ammo changes are good. It sucks having to revolve all of your changes around Icebreaker. You don't want to smash Icebreaker into, a different gun or nerf it completely, because then it's just you ruin the spirit of the gun. But you can't balance the entire game around Icebreaker. So what they did, I think, was probably the most they could do with the situation to make everything as balanced as they could. Technically, if you did swap weapons, your special weapons, while you're alive, you lost all your ammo, I believe.
Yeah.
It's just while you were dead, it was fine to swap them. That's been I guess you could even say broken for, it's been broken for quite a while. It was nice to be able to do it, but I'm kind of glad that it's going by the wayside, because it makes special ammo much more important. And I'm the kind of person who likes to see the game balanced behind like 60% primary usage and then 30% special usage and then 10% heavy usage. I don't like fighting against shotguns and snipers the entire time. I prefer a more primary focused kind of battlefield, and I know some people are definitely going to disagree with me on that, and that's fine. That's my personal perspective, is I think it should be more primary focused, and then specials should be for special situations, not just all the time because they're so popular. So mostly fine with what they did.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm very much interested in there being, a very large percentage of primary play. It feels like the engagements are a lot more to chew on than well, he saw me and now I'm dead, and that's where that's going. That is an unfortunate way the meta has gone, and I have done my best to actually keep up with that. If I can snipe that guy first, then I don't have to worry about him. And I've worked my primary usage around stuff that would really help me with that. Mainly the Suros DIS 43 slash recently 47, like that specific gun, it works really well versus snipers, specifically people who don't just snipe like gods, like, and it's very easy for some people to step into this world of sniping and make it happen, but for those people who aren't godly at the snipers, I've really pushed back with my primary usage. And so definitely, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I definitely agree that quite a lot of people are going to disagree with that. But really, there's nothing more upsetting than just getting sniped out of nowhere, or just here comes a Titan running by. He's either going to shoulder charge me or hit me with a shotgun. Like,
Yeah.
frustrating. But then again, that's part of what's going on. Just don't stay too close to doors and corners. Check your corners. Watch that motion tracker. The motion tracker is magic. Um, and work around it. It's something that I've learned to do in order to make it to make it happy times in Crucible for me.
Yeah.
Sharks.
Well, we'll see how it is in practice, but I mean, all the changes that they're bringing, I think these are changes that most PvP players will want to see. I say most because, like you say, there are a lot of people that want to go out there and they want to have heavy the whole time, or they want to have special ammo the whole time. But I'm really looking forward to it. I I had actually played Halo in the past, and of course I was a huge Call of Duty person. And when I came into Destiny, the gameplay was so much different. But over time, with the addition of so much ammo all over the place, and these people running around with these shotguns and snipers and everything else, and just one shotting you constantly, it just made me remember parts of the reasons why I didn't like Call of Duty. And I think with them cutting out ammo like that, it's going to really bring Destiny back to what they originally wanted it to be. And so I look forward to seeing what it's going to be like while playing it.
Jez.
I'm not sure what the question is at this point. No, it's good changes. Less special ammo, more primaries. Good.
Crimson Warlock.
Yep, happy to see that we'll be seeing less shotguns or sniper rifles until later in the match.
Excellent. Agrios, your take moving on, and also how much we got left because we're running out of time.
Okay, well, there's always more than we have time to talk about, but I think that I like the idea of only getting heavy once per match in almost everything, especially the smaller activities and whatnot. Though I do kind of like it twice per match in Control and Clash based games. For a variety of reasons, but like one, Bungie likes to put me into a lot of late games, and I've come into a lot of games where heavy's on the board already as I arrive, and I'm on a losing team. And because of that second heavy, my team's managed to pull it out and win in the end. Because, we managed to catch back up slowly, and then that heavy kind of, managed to seal it for us because we actually had a team at that point to fight back with. I guess maybe if I didn't end up in that situation so much, maybe I wouldn't mind it only being once per match in those like maybe longer style events. And the other thing, I guess, I wish I kind of feel like the whole icebreaker sidearm, saving the ammo from that into your other things, kind of like a bad apple spoil it for everybody type deal. Because like I liked being able to, while I was down, react to the map and how the other team is playing the map, and switch up between sniper and shotgun. And I really don't like the fact that players are punished now for trying to be adaptive to the situation. just because others were abusing certain situations. Is the end of the world? No, but I don't like the idea that if I feel like I need to drop my sniper and put on my shotgun, that I'm going to have to go out there ammo list for X amount of time till I manage to make it to a green crate that's up. And continuing. The next topic of discussion is revives. They reduced the interactive radius for resurrection prompt by 0.5 meters. They increased the base time to resurrect by 0.25 seconds. They've reprioritized the overshield so that it takes precision damage modifiers. Previously, it did not, which allows more snipe archetypes to get res kills. Only a few PvE combatants deal precision damage, so aside from a few exceptions, this only affects the PvP mechanic. They adjusted the resurrection invincibility frame so that the moment the player can move and take damage are more consistent in most network conditions. They've reduced the resurrection time bonus on exotic armor, the Crest Alpha Lupi and Light Beyond Nemesis, to 30%, down from 40%. The revive timer has been increased by 2 seconds, from a base 5 up to 7 seconds, and ramps from there up to 14. The fast revive exotics, as I mentioned, had their abilities reduced, and they no longer allow sprint by revives. The revive overshield it has been reduced, and snipers with the impact above 22 can now revive snipe. The old favorites moving forward, LDR 5001 and Longbow Synthesis, as well as the current Patience and Time, Hereafter, Defiance of Yasmin, Antimony 16, Aoif Rua D, however you say that one, and the Tamar D will join the higher impact snipers that can revive snipe right now. So there should be a lot more revive sniping going on. Specific to the snipers, they've increased the zoom on the low zoom scopes. They cited the previously 5.0 zoom long view SLR-10 and the 4.5 zoom ambush and the 4.5 zoom short gaze as being increased. They didn't specifically mention the other ones on the Omelon and Hake rifles, but in tonight's update, they did just state on lower zoom scopes, so it's unclear which all ones will be changed. They increased the zoom on the snipers without optics options, including Hereafter, Black Spindle, Patience and Time, and Steel Piercer. The snapshot perk has been decreased to 20% from 30%. They added 2 frames of zoom time to the base sniper handling. They reduced stability across the board. And in specifically the 1,000-yard stare, they reduced the ammo reserves. They also addressed a bug where Zen Moment was not providing a benefit to snipers, and they removed it from uncommon and rare snipers, as well as replaced it on Hake snipers with performance bonus and Omelon snipers with battle runner. So these are some pretty crazy changes to the way sniping is going to be happening here. People are definitely going to have to get a feel for it again who like to snipe. What do you guys think about all these changes? Datto?
Love the res situation. Love all those changes. I thought that revives were incredibly obnoxious the way they were now, and I feel like I ended up losing even though I made the first strike way too many times, just because like you got such an advantage from resurrecting someone and them having that immunity period and them having the overshields. So I'm glad that it's harder to do those kind of moves. Reviving shouldn't be as simple as just sprinting through someone. There's not even any danger you have to pose to yourself when you had to just, when all you had to do was just sprint through a revive node. So love those changes. The sniper changes, you know, I'm not the greatest sniper in the world, so I'm kind of indifferent to the sniper changes, but I know a lot of people were not, I guess, exactly thrilled with it. I'm indifferent. I can understand why they did it. It's definitely going to take a little bit of getting used to, and they just made it a higher skill cap thing to do that kind of close up, you know, quick scoping or close to medium range sniping. That's not to say it's impossible or anything like that. You just got to be a little better on the sticks to make it happen. Otherwise, you know, they're trying to cement snipers as this mainly long distance thing. I can respect that, but otherwise, just I'm kind of indifferent to the whole sniping situation.
Ever since the addition of sidearms, I haven't really focused too much on snipers or shotguns. I would always carry the sniper rifle over a shotgun just because I'm a longer range player as it is. But since they introduced sidearms, I like to use those. They feel really great. If I get too close in a pinch, I can really put some damage down on these guys. But when I do use a sniper, I almost always use the ambush scope just because of the frame, the field of vision in it. I feel is what my eyes are looking for. So the idea that they're pushing you out further is a little bit. It doesn't make me happy, but I understand why they're doing it because they don't want it to be something where people are just running up to you and sniping you as a short to mid range battle rifle. That makes a lot of sense. I kind of feel like they're going to need, some of these maps are going to need to be a lot bigger in order to really take advantage of it. But again, I don't do a lot of sniping. Working on it, but don't do a lot of sniping. The res time increase. I always felt like using that specific exotic in order to get the faster res time so that you could run by them and res. I always thought that was really really cool. I always thought that was a really cool choice that you make. I can take 2 smoke grenades or I can revive my buddies really quickly. And so now I feel like this is only going to work against people who aren't already in a position to be awesome at this. It is cool that they're taking down they're lowering the res shields so that it won't just be the 1,000-yard stare. Like, I feel like this is going to open up so many more snipers, and I think that can only be a good thing because 1,000-yard stare and also Irene are the go-to. But having the longer res time, like, I think that people are just going to start picking off both people instead of only going for the person that's reviving. Like, I think that we're going to see a much crazier meta involved with that. Sharks, what do you think about this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this is Bungie's way of shortening games like Trials games because now people are gonna have to, basically come out and stand there to res somebody, and you're gonna get sniped in the face, So it's that I don't have a problem with it. It's definitely going to be something that you're going to have to get used to, but I think it's a good change as far as them changing the snipers. Um, I understand the whole point of doing it. A lot of people hate quick scopers. Um, I mean, I hate being quick scoped because I'm not as good at quick scoping. But I don't see the scopes themselves changing anything that much. I mean, I'm still going to shoot you in the face with my sniper at 5 feet. So hey, whatever. And I think most people are going to be like that. Yeah, the slowing down of the two extra frames to get your scope up. That's so minuscule. It's the people that are complaining. They're complaining because they complain. And we always have it. It doesn't matter what it is that gets changed. There's always somebody out there that's going to complain. So let's just have it drop on April 12th and go out there and play it.
I like it. Jez?
Yeah, it kind of made those options kind of the choice for most PvP situations that you could res in. So yeah, good change all around, and it stops that from being a
They're all
tactic,
about
really.
giving people options, That's
Yeah.
why the 1,000 yard's so popular. It's because most people feel like it's the only option. Now we have more options. You're going to see more variety, and that's overall net good for the game. As much as people might not want to see their 1,000 yard nerfed or anything like that, it is a good change for the game, right? I don't think anyone likes being glued to something.
I think the people that are like, "Boo, I hate this change. I can't use my gun the way I used to use it," probably also tried to cling on to their yellow horns.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me too much. I'm always going to be in the crowd that wants different options, because that's the fun of being able to like play with other stuff or getting a new piece of loot. It's not as fun getting a piece of loot when you know it's automatically going to be worse than the thing that you have, right? It's nice to get different things like, oh, maybe if I do this with this weapon, it could be better than this, or different, or I don't know. That's just me.
Speaking
I'm
of,
gonna use hard light.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is that when you go out there and you actually play with different guns, it feels different. So it's new every time when you're going out there and doing it. It's makes the game more exciting.
speaking of Datto, how long did it take for you to get over Vision of Confluence? Because I know that was your go-to, and you really enjoyed it, and that you said a lot that why you understood why these weapons weren't coming into year 2 because you would just keep using the ones that work best for you. How long was it before you found something else that you enjoyed just as much, or has it even happened yet?
I mean, Vision and Confluence was just a really good scale rifle, right? Very high magazine size because of Field Scout, full auto, so you didn't even have to try. You could just hold down the button. There's barely any stability on it, so it was just a really good gun. But it was bittersweet when I had to see it go, right? Because it's bitter because it's a really good gun. It's a really freaking good gun, but it's good because it's like, okay, I don't have to keep myself attached to this gun anymore. I can use something else and I'm not going to feel bad about it. And I'm the kind of person who can let go of old stuff in favor of new stuff. Like that's been my experience since I started playing World of Warcraft in 2005, right? I've lived that life. I know what's going to happen. Other people, they don't like it as much. They want to keep their old stuff around. My view is just my personal view. Obviously, not everyone's going to agree with that, but I'm more than okay with leaving stuff that I like behind, as long as there's going to be cool new things to replace those old items. It wasn't a big deal to me when it's like, okay, I finally got to give up the Vision of Confluence. I've lived it, for a decade now. It wasn't the biggest deal to me.
So what was it that took its place? Do you have a go-to right now?
I kind of have like a go-to loadout in general, but it's nice that I can if I'm just feeling lazy and I don't want to transfer all my stuff, I could just use whatever I have on my character and I'll be pretty okay.
Yeah.
The loadout that I use now is Smiter Moraine, my Aryan RR4, and the Quillum's Terminus. And I like that loadout because I don't have to rely on an exotic. I can use whatever I want. And for the raid, I have a different loadout for basically every fight, which is cool. It wasn't like year 1 where it's like, okay, just use the same guns for everything unless we need an element, and then I just switch to the right element, opening up the portal. I switched to a whole bunch of arc stuff, and then we do the totems, and then I switch to my main set, and then we go to War Priest, and I whip out the first curse, and then we go to Golgoroth, and I got either the Black Spindle or Red Death, and then we move to the Daughters, and I got the Touch of Malice, and then I switch to my sword for Oryx, and it's nice because I get to change it up. I don't run with the whole same set all the time, and I like that. I like being able to switch it up and optimize per engagement as opposed to just having one set for every single thing. I only need 3 guns, and I'm it.
Awesome. Excellent. Where were we in the line? I forgot. Jez was Crimson.
Yeah.
I am very glad with the PvP changes and resin and stuff, but that's about all I can say just because I'm excited to try it, and I'm not a big PvP player anyway. So just looking forward to the changes, and I am glad. I'm glad for the balance changes. I mean, a lot of people might complain about it, but seeing a new meta come out of it is always fun. And then it's always fun to go against that because that's what I do. So yeah, just excited to see the update when it comes out.
Excellent. Agrios, moving on.
All right. Yeah. I think for the most part, these are all good changes. I feel a little bad for people who spend a lot of time to get some of these guns that end up on top, like the 1,000-yard stare. I don't really think the 1,000-yard stare is any better than any of these other snipers. It's just the most accessible one. It's the one that you can buy engrams for over and over again to try to get different rolls on to get the roll that suits you. So I always feel kind of bad when these guns that don't really deserve to get any sort of nerf get singled out from their counterparts. Like, I think letting the 1,000-yard stare just get whatever the nerfs the rest of the snipers were getting themselves was enough. They didn't have to go a step further to specifically reduce its ammo reserve even more. And I don't really like that tendency that Destiny has. So that's my only real gripe with those changes. There are changes to a number of other weapons in Destiny. The auto rifles are going to see a change in that the high rate of fire will get a damage decrease by 2.5%. These are rifles like the Doctrine of Passing, Necrochasm, Arminius D. The low rate of fire auto rifles will get a damage increase by 2.3%. These are rifles like the Saurus Regime and Answering Chord and the Anguish of Dryston. The Anguish of Dryston itself will be getting a stability increase of about 12%. The Pulse low rate of fire rifles will be getting a damage increase of 3%. This is like Nerwin's Mercy, Spare Change, Lyudmila D, Soros PDX 41. Something to note, I mentioned earlier the Tamar D as a sniper rifle. They'll be joining the Revive snipers. And I just mentioned the Soros PDX 41 low rate of fire pulse rifle. These are both available from the Weaponsmith this week if you're interested in picking up a model for after the update. Hand cannons will receive an ammo reserve increase. Fusion rifles will have their minimum stability increased to 40% recoil reduction and ramps up from there. This should provide less kick. They fixed a bug where some scopes for fusion rifles had unintended increased zoom that was removed in Year 2. Heavy machine guns, rockets, and others will have reduced reserve ammo. The Quillam's Terminus specifically is going to have even further reduced base inventory stat by 15 and its stability reduced by 9. All King Falls raid weapons are going to have increased reload speed, so they'll reload faster. And a new sword, which we've seen, is called Dreadfang, and is a potential reward from the Gates quest. It's also noted that weapons like Thorn and the Last Word now have unique kill icons instead of the general hand cannon icon. They made some changes to weapon perks. The Eye of Storm perk now improves arrow angle in addition to projectile accuracy, so players can see the hip reticle contract when the perk activates. The Icarus Airborne inaccuracy reduced by 9%, and it was 66%, now it's 75%. And Aggressive Ballistics is having a change. Now it's going to ask for a negative 20 stability trade-off instead of negative 10. This is because it makes the guns it's on more powerful and they're more tricky to balance. So this is to help counteract that. For exotics, they're making some changes. The one that's probably most notable or controversial maybe is the Might of Multi-Tool, removing high caliber rounds. For the Saurus Regime, the spinning up bonus is delayed by 4 bullets, and focus fire will now grant plus 45 range if you choose that option. Hawkmoon's range is increased by 10. The Last Word will no longer provide extra damage from its namesake hipfire perk. The Drake's Promised has projectiles that will track more aggressively by locking onto the enemy in the reticle upon firing. However, damage has been reduced by 40%, and rate of fire and damage fall-off have been reduced as well. The Telesto projectiles will now stick to friendly objects without damaging them. The Thorn, though remaining Year 1, is going to have reduced poison damage, a base 1 hit point. The length of that damage reduced from 6 ticks down to 4 ticks, and the screen blur intensity reduced. Icebreaker, also remaining in Year 1. We already noted above that when you unequip it, it will remove all secondary ammo. They increased the zoom to 6 times and reduced the base target acquisition by 25%. And while not detailed in the stream, the Queensbreaker bow and Lord of Wolves both have their ammo inventory reduced to keep up with the changes to shotguns and snipers. And they fixed a bug with the Chaperone that was clamping precision damage on shotguns. So what about the rest of these changes? Datto?
Yeah, pretty okay with most of these things. The only thing I really had an issue with was some of the warlock stuff and the PVE change or PvP changes affecting PVE changes. Um, but either way, I didn't have any real gripes with anything in
What
particular.
about the Mida specifically? I kind of felt like this doesn't really change the PvP environment that much. I didn't really feel like the high caliber rounds were having that much of an effect in PvP. And I kind of felt, and Mida was one of my first favorite exotics, and I liked it for its stopping power in PvE. And I feel bad that people who like that in PvE are now gonna not have it anymore for this situation.
Yeah, I mean, apparently it was effective enough in PvP to warrant its removal, and it sucks once again for PvE players. But that's the price you pay when everything's combined into one game. Um, but
I kind of wish now it
otherwise,
would be something like Guardians are now immune to the high impact effect of the Mida multi tool or something like
yeah,
that. Like I wish they would make more changes like that.
if it were possible, it might be, it would be good to just be able to hide that kind of stuff. Whereas like, okay, it's gonna work in PvP, but it's not gonna affect PvE at all. And as long as you don't need to like, come up with two sets of stats for PvE and PvP, because you don't want to, we're all smart. We know what's going on with the game, but not everyone is that aware. Not everyone follows the game that much. Um, so you don't really want to split the two to because you don't want to confuse people. You don't want to
Well,
make the
I
same
feel
gun feel different in different activities.
I feel like you could do it with wording. I mean, they already do it on some armor. Like you have inverse shadow and stuff like that. Certain perks that say when they only work on enemies of the darkness. Well, they could
Right.
just put on Mida. It has a high impact on
Yeah. I
the
mean,
darkness.
I guess they felt like it didn't have enough of an impact in PvE to warrant having a change like that, or maybe it's harder than you think to make something like that happen. We don't know, but either way, it's not going to destroy the weapon or anything like that. I think it's still going to be pretty good. Auto rifles, a lot of people complaining about the doctrine of passing and blah blah blah, so they got a little bit of a nerf. That's fine. Pulse rifles good. Hand cannons would have liked to have seen them also get a flat range increase, maybe like 5 to 10, like the Hawkmoon did. I feel like they're still kind of a little bit weak in that category. But I was happy to hear about Hawkmoon getting some of its range back. Fusion rifle changes, awesome. Love that people are actually going to use them now. Sniper rifle, we kind of went over that. Yeah, I mean, most of these are just all good in my eyes. Or if they're not good, I'm neutral on them. I don't think anything was overly horrible about anything that happened.
Alrighty, and with that, we are out of time. Agrios, is there anything else that you wanted to throw out there before we move on to shoutouts and then exiting?
Not in particular. I mean, we didn't get to the Warlock discussion. There is a few changes to Sun Singers. They're reducing the strength and frequency of the Flame Shield, but buffing other nature of the Sun Singer, as well as reducing the duration of the Fireborn while buffing its counterparts on the Sun Singer. Stormcallers are also getting their super reduced. It will also no longer the length of their super reduced. They'll also no longer destroy Ward of Dawn or blind people as much. Though Voidwalkers are getting a buff to their energy drain abilities.
Excellent, excellent. And that's all you want to throw out there.
That's it in a nutshell. Since we're out of time.
Outstanding. Okay. Shout outs starting with Datto.
Like where you can find me and stuff. You can find me.
Whatever you want to say.
Oh yeah, no. Come watch Battleborn all weekend. Twitch.tv/Datto. I'm youtube.com/DattoDoesDestiny. I figure most people know where I am by now, but
Definitely.
Yeah, that's me.
All the people here definitely do. Sharks.
Well, my shout outs to Datto. He made it very easy for me to get a hold of him, even though we're not friends on Twitter or PlayStation. And he came on the show. So, if you're not following him or subscribe to him, go and do it because this guy's the man. You need any info on Destiny, he's going to have it on video.
Yeah, I'm not friends with him on PlayStation or Xbox either. I'm afraid to ask. Agrios.
I just want to thank Datto for joining us to talk about Destiny over here. I appreciate what you do, and big fan. I'm glad that to see that your name changed to just Datto, because that means I'll get to look forward to a lot of videos for a lot of other great games now too. I've been playing the Division, of course, reaping all your information on that. So thanks.
I'm trying. I'm certainly trying to branch. We'll see.
Jez.
Shout out to Datto. No, I can't do that. That's 3 in a row. That's horrible.
I think we're going for a clear streak here.
Shout out to my cat for not being a pain this entire time. There we go.
That is nice. Thank you, Kitty Cat. Whose name, if you didn't know, is Datto.
What? No, that would be weird.
That'd be really weird.
Especially considering I know this cat longer than Datto, so...
Crimson Warlock.
I'll throw my shout out to Datto for coming on the show and just being awesome. I've been following you since that first Destiny reveal in E3 long time ago. So thanks for coming on, but also shout out to the Bungie devs who didn't touch my Voidwalker and actually buffed it up. So thank you very much.
I don't think anyone was playing. I didn't think they were going to nerf Voidwalker. I don't think there's any reason. I'll leave it at that. There was no reason they were going to nerf Voidwalkers.
My shout out is to Datto as well. It's really great to have you on the show. It was really great to have your opinions. It's really great to talk to you. You're a really cool guy. You're really really level-headed with the way you view the world, and even if I don't agree with what you're saying, I'm very interested in what it is that you have to say, because there's been many times where someone will say something different and I'll think, well, that doesn't even make any sense, and then I'll try it anyways, and I'll find out that I should just open my mind more. So no matter what it is that you have to say, I'm very interested in saying it. I'm glad that you're doing so well. You turning to just Datto is a very cool thing, because I think it's great that you're doing other games, but definitely Destiny is what has brought us all together here. So thank you very much for being on the show, Datto. It means
my pleasure.
It means a great deal to have you on the show. And that wraps up episode 78. I would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.